to my channel. I'm Rachel, classy and a little bit sassy. If you haven't subscribed, then please do so now. Thank you. And do not forget to share. Today I'll be speaking about internet dating. If you've tried all the possibilities of meeting the man of your dreams and it hasn't happened, then this video is for you. I met my husband on the internet dating site Yahoo 2006. I'll just give you a little bit of information and then you can decide if this is yours. I was then single for over a year and I was happy and single. Now, women who are happy and single are the worst types to get a man, and I'm very honest, because you have everything that you want going, and if you're happy, then you also forget sometimes that you're single. If you have a good relationships with your family, with your friends, and you are not missing out on anything, it just slide and you just forget it. So that was happening to me without me knowing. I was going out, I was having fun, I was traveling, I had a good job, and my child was doing well. What else could I be looking for? My best friend then decided with her husband that this is going on for too long. She was always giving me quite a bit of hints, yeah, you blah blah, and I was like, look, I have a job, I'm happy, my son's doing great, and that was it. But her husband decided he had to step into that situation, and he did. They visited me, it was summer, and we had planned to grill, so they visited me, and her husband at some point in time after about 8 o'clock that evening decided to drop the bomb. Oh. You need to find a man because no one knows that you're here upstairs. He said no one is looking for you because no one knows you are here. I was just so angry at this moment because I hadn't said that I'm looking for anyone. I wasn't asking him to ask someone to look for me, but he had decided to be my big brother. Rachel needs a man, and so he sat at my computer and he did a profile for me on Yahoo dating site. Mind you, that then had cost a lot of money. And I was like, if he thinks I'm going to pay for him, he's in for a shock. So they knew me, I must say. They really knew me. And so they knew what type of guy would be fitting to my situation. So they'd done it. He had written even the profile. Good looking, dark-skinned woman, searching for the man of her life, has a child, but is not looking for a father. If you're interested, blah, blah. So it was finished and I was there arguing with both of them. And then I decided it's not my cup of tea, it's theirs. He then left a small note with the information how I could get into the dating app and what was my nickname and all, and then he was gone. Weeks went by and I didn't even look at that. I thought that's underneath my level. Because when I'm honest, I also had my 2 or 3 words to say about people who were doing internet dating. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was those who couldn't find anyone, those who had no style, those who weren't looking good. That was Rachel at that time. Now, after 3 months or so, I decided that I'll take a peep in Yahoo dating. Why not? Of course, I was a little bit ashamed. After all, I had been very rude and I was very unfair. So I went there and I was scrolling up and down and okay. After a couple of weeks, I saw one guy that was suiting to me. He was a doctor. And he looked good, I must say. He looked good. Well, mind you, this was the first time I was dating someone who I'd met on the internet. So I had no idea of what was going on. And to be honest, I didn't even call up my girlfriend because I didn't want her to know that Rachel was sitting there looking to find someone. I was a bit ashamed. So I met this guy. We planned to meet at the Cardiff front. We hadn't decided if we were going for a coffee or for dinner. So when we met, he said to me, we should go for a walk. Now I'll tell you what I was wearing. I was wearing skinny jeans, a polo shirt, and very high stilettos, about 10 centimeters high. Just imagine the way I was looking. And he was asking me if we should or could go for a walk. I just looked at him and said, first of all, I do not know you. Secondly, I'm wearing an attire that isn't fit to be walking in the park. What do you mean? I just looked at him and said, look at these sandals. Do you think they cost nothing? And do you think someone goes for a walk in the park with such shoes? And he was like, okay. So at this point in time, after seeing him, when I'm very honest, I was disappointed because he looked a bit different in comparison to his profile. Then I didn't know the word that one would be using. He had manipulated his photo. He had made the photo for him to look younger and better. So that was one of those no-goes. And then the thing about walking in the park was the second. And you have 3 chances in life with me. If you make the 3rd mistake, then it's out. So I decided, let's go to the next coffee shop that was in the very near vicinity. So we walked there and I ordered an apple juice and he did the same. So we were talking, but I couldn't get rid of these 2 things. He looked different and he wanted to go with me in the park. But who am I? Who does he think he is? In Jamaica, only a dusty invites you on the first date in the park. One who has no money, who cannot afford to invite you for a coffee or a meal. And this was why I was a bit, Anyway, we sat there and we were talking. But I had planned before. If you're going on a date, you have to have a monitor for your date. My monitor was another girlfriend, and she was babysitting for me that afternoon. And we had agreed 1 hour after my date started, she must call me. The date was at 3 o'clock that afternoon, so 4 o'clock she had to call me. Then the telephone rang, and I said, excuse me, I'll have to take this call. And she said, how is it going? So I was silent. We had agreed if I said nothing, she should then say to me, Rachel, your son is crying. And that was what she said. I just drank the juice and I was finished. I said, unfortunately, I have to go because my son is not happy being seated by this woman. He wants me to come back. So there I was out of this date without being rude or whatever. Then the bill came. The bill was €4. €4. And he was patting his trousers like. And I was like, wow, Mr. Dusty has earned his crown. 3. He didn't even have €4. And I thought, you're on a date and you have forgotten your wallet? Let's be honest. Which man is going out without his wallet? Every man remembers his wallet, or he sticks in his credit card and some cash in his pocket. And mind you, he had something like a folder. And I thought he had the nerve to take a folder with him. and he didn't take his wallet. 3 strikes, you're out. He looked different than the way he looked in the internet. He wanted to go to the park, and now he has forgotten his wallet. For me, it was out and about. He's wearing the dusty crown, bum in the dustbin. I took my purse out. I left €5 on the table and I said, bye. And then I said to myself, of nimmer fide seen, out and about, you dusty. And he was like, when are we seeing each other? I said, bye, and I just walked away. Ladies, I could not believe it. I was like, Rachel, this is what I thought internet dating would be, and it happened. So I stepped in my car. The music was loud. I was listening to Radio Paradiso, and I was laughing so much because now I had a reason to tell my girlfriend and her husband, this is what is in the internet. So I went home, picked up my child, and then I was telling this girlfriend of mine, and she was saying, Rachel, this could happen anywhere. I said, but just imagine. He looked different than he looked in the internet. He wanted to go for a walk in the park, and now he cannot even afford 2 glasses of apple juice. Anyway, it was so funny that I wasn't even angry. I thought this was like a joke. I thought I was at some comedy show because this is not happening. Anyway, I gave it a break about a week or 2, and then I was again on the internet because I found this was so hilarious. I had to look to find out if it was really like this. So I met another guy. This time he was an architect. My ex-partner was an architect, so I thought, no one can fool me about this job, you know. I know a lot. I've even worked for my ex. So I was the right candidate for such a person. So we met at a restaurant. This time I decided we're going to a restaurant. So when we were making this appointment, I said, would you like to go for us to meet for coffee or in a restaurant? And we both decided a restaurant would be fine. Spanish restaurant. It was an exquisite restaurant and all. And we had a good chat. So, and during the evening as it was wearing down, we started talking about our hobbies. One of my hobbies is reading. I am a passionate reader. And when I say passion, it says it all. I read like 2-3 books a week. And it doesn't matter what it is. If I'm in the mood for reading, I'll read anything. So at that point in time, I had just bought a new book from Ken Follett, Jackdaws. And this book was so interesting. It had everything that a passionate reader wanted. And I was telling him all about what's happening, and he was like, yeah, I have that book, I'd start reading it. So I was then saying, how far are you? He says, I'm almost finished. And I was like, which part of this book really caught your attention and gave you sleepless nights? And he was like, Then I realized, this guy is not reading. At least he has never read one of Ken Follett's books. I pretended as if I didn't realize, but then I started asking him, which other books does he read? And he was like, Lee Child. Which books from Lee Child have you read? He hasn't read one of them because he was saying names that do not exist in Lee Child's collection. You do not have to be rude with people when they're lying. That's a fact. You just take note of that and then you act on that. So I thought, okay, probably he wants to impress me. After dinner, we went to a bar and we had a lot of fun. Then I went home and I saw him once more. And that second date was the same because he claims he had like a library at his home and he had a collection of all of these books. And and he wanted to bring me a couple of them that I hadn't read, and nothing of it was true. And then I thought, okay, it makes no sense to continue such things. And that was it. A wise drag queen once said, some men are good for a taste, but not for a swallow. You might find this vulgar, but fact is, it is true. Some men are simply not boyfriend or husband material. But if you think I'm a bit strange, you can go for it, but only for one evening, because you should know what you want. What is your limit? What are your standards? What kind of relationship you want to have? After this date, I thought, okay, it was better than the Dusty. This was, should I say, a Dusty and one who is like, they're different levels. But for me, none of these men would I consider seeing again, because it just doesn't work for me. I do not make compromise. I was then on holidays, and when I returned, I decided, okay, why not? Again, I was on the internet. Mind you, this was about 3 or 4 months, and I met 2 guys already. One was a Dusty, the other, I had a lovely evening with him, and of course dinner at his cost, so it wasn't a bad idea. But he was live, and for me that was a no-go. So I decided, why not try again? 3 is the magic number, ladies. If you have only dated one guy, you have nothing to say. 3 is the magic number. And after the 3rd date, you know what you're doing wrong. So I was on the internet again, and I was looking, and there I saw my now husband. I thought, wow, these photos really speak for themselves. So I sent him a message, and he replied that evening, and he asked for a photo. Now I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I had a very old computer. So if you had a modern computer or a new one, and I would send you a photo, chances are you could not open that photo because of the format. Now, me being Rachel, I'm not thinking that other people have a better computer than I have. Let's be honest. So he asked for a photo, and I immediately sent him this photo, and he told me he cannot open the photo. So I thought, let it be. But then I received, during the time, I'd send him the photo, and him telling me that he could not open the photo. He had already sent me a long reply about what he sees in a relationship or what he's looking for a relationship, and I flew over that, all of that stuff, and then I saw family, and I thought, I'm not looking for a man to start a family. I have a son. I'm looking for a man to complete my family. So I didn't reply. And that was not only the reason I didn't reply. In a couple of weeks, I had to undergo an operation, and I was not willing to start a relationship whilst me being sick. So I decided it was a good thing. I'll never answer, and that was it. So the operation was in November. Then came Christmas and New Year. I work as a flight attendant, and so I couldn't fly during this period of time because I didn't get a medical, because I had an operation on the abdomen. And as you know, safety comes first, and so I was at home. So I had enough time that I could go on the internet and see what was going on. And so was it. It was New Year's, about the 6th of January, or so, and I was again on the internet. And I saw there was a red light blinking when I opened that dating app. And when I read it, you haven't answered a mail. So, me being me, I decided to apologize. And I did say, Happy New Year, all the best, may all your wishes and endeavors be met. And then I said, it's me wishing you all of these. Someone is in my family. Someone in my family was sick, had to undergo an operation, and then come Christmas. And if you are interested, I'd be happy when you reply. I hadn't gone on the computer for a couple of days, and then when I did, I realized he had replied. I then sent him my email address, and he asked me again if I could send him the photo. I did not reply to that question, but he also wanted my telephone number. I did send him my telephone number, and we agreed that we would speak to each other the following evening. So he called up. And when he called up, he had a lovely, nice voice. And we exchanged pleasantries, and we were just talking, where are you from, and all of that. And then came the big question, where do you live? So I said, in Berlin. He said, I'm also from Berlin. And where exactly do you live in Berlin? And I said, Lichterfelde. And he told me, Lichterfelde. And I thought, Where exactly in Lichterfelde? I didn't want to tell him the street, so I said, I'm living on the Lilienthal Park. And this guy just said, I'm living on the Lilienthal Park. And girls, I thought, is he making a mockery of me? I thought for a while, it's impossible. And then I decided it was my turn to ask the question. I said to him, where exactly do you live in Lichterfelde? And he says to me, I'm living in the Oberhoferstraße. Girl, at this point in time, I was flashed. Believe you me, that was around the corner from me. And I'm like, no. He said, yes. Where are you living, Rachel? And I said, I'm living directly on the park. Then I said to him, do you know how many times I've walked under your terrace in summer? He says, no. And then it was as if we knew each other. Our conversation changed immediately. Mind you, he hadn't seen a photo of me, but because we were living in the near vicinity and we had exchanged information, what we love doing, walking in the park, we love going to restaurants, it was as if we knew each other. And then before we hang up, we had decided that we will meet for a restaurant. Before we hang up, we had decided we'll meet for dinner and the address and all. But then he says, I haven't seen a photo of you. And I'm like, look, you cannot open this photo. So I believe, es ist nicht so. Es ist nicht so. He then asked if I could send him the photo again. So I sent him the photo and he said he cannot open the photo. Then I said, could it be that you have a very old computer? He didn't say a word. Mind you, my computer was old, so I was thinking this guy had old junk. He didn't say a word. Then he said, excuse me, my computer is 2 days old. It couldn't be my problem. It must be yours. Girls, I was like, Rachel, why did you go that far? But I'm like that, I'm very honest. I just say what I think. And I felt understood, I felt free, so I told him that. Then I said to him, look, I realize this photo means so much to you. Let me be clear. If you go to your office tomorrow, sorry, I said to him, I realize this photo means so much to you. So tomorrow when you are in your office, try opening this photo. And after opening it, if I do not look desirable, you can call me and cancel that date. He was shocked, taken aback, couldn't believe. Then we just decide to say, okay, we'll see us on Saturday. And I repeat to him, if you open that photo and it's not what you're looking for, then you can cancel that date. Later on, he told me, the minute I told him that, he knew I was the woman he was looking for. Because he says, only a person who is self-assured, a person who loves themselves would dare tell a man she hasn't met, you can cancel the date if I'm not your type. Well, we met and it was love at first sight. We saw each other and we knew it. Today we're 11 years married and 13 years in. Now I'm telling you this story to give you an example of how it can go. The first shot doesn't have to be the man of your dreams. First of all, I had a Dusty, then I had a Lion. And now I'm 11 years in with marriage, 13 years together. So you do not have to say, well, I met one and it was all a disaster. You can meet a man in a bar and it's a disaster. You've got only to have the courage to say, he wasn't for me. As the drag queen says, some are good as a taste and not as a swallow. Look, the Dusty was a taste, the Liar was a taste, and so I met my husband because I had confidence. I had taken time. Because let's be honest, having a relationship is an emotional investment. You have to invest time. If you're looking for a job, ladies, you do not take the first job because you want to have a job. If it's not what you're looking for, you'll say thank you and you move on. You've got to decide, what are my priorities? I want a man who is honest with himself. He doesn't give the impression that I am that when I'm not it. I want an honest man. I want a man who is sure. I need a provider, a protector, and a man who produces. These are the qualities that I'm looking for in a man. And internet dating gives you an endless opportunity to find the man you're looking for. You might be laughing and saying, oh, that's not for me, in this very moment. But do not forget, I was that girl laughing at my girlfriend and her husband. And today, I'm sitting here telling you it worked. You just have to find the one that fits you. You do have to make compromise, but not in every aspect of life. You must be sure what you want. You must be sure what you want. What's unimportant is if he's 2 meters or 1 meter 60. Those things one can make compromise. Important is if this person touches your heart, if this person makes you happy. With that being said, happy dating, have fun, and never forget, not every man is boyfriend material. Not every man you meet is the man for the job. Ladies, during my time, we only had Yahoo dating. Today, there are millions of dating sites. There are also millions of dating apps. You do not have to be concentrated only on one thing. And if it just doesn't work with one person, then go on to the next. If you're on a dating site and you haven't found someone, move to the next. Go on a dating app like Tinder. People might say that's not a place to meet someone, but you never know. You have to use all your options. And if it doesn't work after 6 months, move on. Continue. Then you'll know you're having fun. And I'm quite sure in the near future, you will find a soulmate. Let's be honest, people do not find only one soulmate in a lifetime. Sometimes you have one for 6 years and then it ends. It's not the end of the world. Move on. Take advantage of the option that this electronic world offer you. Date and have fun. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy weekend. And it's Rachel signing out. Classy and a little bit sassy. Do not forget to subscribe. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. And lots of luck. Bye.